Hello, longboarding mom. Today I am going to make my homemade barbecue sauce and meatballs. I make a meatloaf, but I like the crispy edge all the way around. So instead of making meatloaf, I make little meatballs and bake them in the oven like you would a meatloaf. But first I've got to make the barbecue sauce, and I have a couple yummy ingredients. I've got this recipe that my sister and I used to make when we were in our 20s, and we found this at the grocery store, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name or anything, so I'll just show you what it is. And it's got a whole bunch of cool little recipes, but I don't follow it exactly, so I kind of make up my own little recipe. So I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do. I'm going to hang that back up over there and get started here in a second. I'm going to flip the camera down so you guys can see what I'm doing. So it doesn't really matter what kind of ingredients you put in. It could be name brand, it can be your favorite brand. I've got Winco ketchup. I'm going to put 1.5 cups. That's 1 cup. And I don't usually like measure completely precise on this stuff. It can, like I said, this recipe is my kind of my own creation. I kind of follow a recipe but made up my own. And I need 1 more 1/2 cup. I took the lid off so it would be a lot faster. Okay, so 1.5 cups ketchup. And the good stuff is the brown sugar. I need 3/4 of a cup. So I've got 1/2 cup here packed. And 1 more 1/4 cup. That makes 3/4 of a cup. I need this yummy, delicious stuff that I have not opened yet. I need 1/2 cup of that. You can use any brand of whiskey you like. So I need 1/2 cup. Let's put it right in there. I got a couple shots for later. Pour that in something else. Make some cough medicine. No, I don't know what you do with that stuff. I don't drink a lot, so. Okay, 1/2 cup of that. And we're going to do 2 tablespoons of vinegar. Oops. Do a little bit less on this one because I over poured. There's 2 tablespoons. We also need 3 tablespoons Worcestershire sauce. I know I didn't say it right. I said it wrong on purpose. Everybody always says it different. Little lid is on. Take that off so I can pour it easier. There's 1, 2, 3. Make sure I put that back on. And we needed some dried onion, minced onion, but I don't have minced onion, so I sauteed up some onion, and that's 3 tablespoons, but it sauteed up to a little bit less, but that's okay because it'll be strong. We're just going to dump that in there. I sauteed it with a little bit of butter. And this is actually how my sister and I used to make it. Because I never had minced dry onion. I've got minced garlic, but I never have minced dry onion. So I also need 2 teaspoons garlic powder. Let's pull out the garlic powder next. One. And it all goes into the same pot. We're just gonna boil it on the stove, bring it to a rolling boil, and then simmer it for 20 minutes. This recipe doesn't call for onion powder, but I like to add onion powder to mine, so it's getting 1 teaspoon of mustard powder. Let's call it all the same onion powder, right? No, it's mustard powder, 1 teaspoon. The recipe calls for hot pepper sauce, 1 tablespoon, but all the pepper sauce I have is this, and this is kind of spicy, so we're gonna do a 1/2 tablespoon. I do like spice, but not everybody does, so we're gonna find our 1/2 tablespoon, and we're gonna put a 1/2 tablespoon of this in here. When I first started eating the sriracha, just a little dab would do, and then I started putting more in. I used to make sriracha ketchup before they used to sell it at the store, and a little dab, and then pretty soon I was putting a lot in it. So we're gonna stir this up, put it on the stove. I think I got all the ingredients in. We're gonna stir. Look at that already. I'm gonna go put that on the stove, bring it to a boil. I'll bring you guys over there with me so you can watch it. Bring it to a boil and let it simmer. So we'll be back here in just a second over at the stove. I started making homemade barbecue sauce, Jack Daniel's barbecue sauce. I'm gonna make some meatballs. Getting ready to boil. I can feel it. Once it starts boiling and gets to that boiling, rolling boil, we're going to turn it down to a low temperature and let it simmer for 20 minutes. Bubbles.
The fuck you want?
Bubbles.
You should tell them when you're boiling it, the sugar's not.
Bubbles. All that sugar has probably melted. Yum. I added a little bit more sugar to it because I tasted it and I wanted it a little bit sweeter. I tried some barbecue sauce the other day. I'm not going to say what brand it was, but it was not sweet at all and did not taste like a barbecue sauce. It was more like a ketchup to me. Barbecue sauce needs to be sweet. But not too sweet. I wish you guys could smell that. I'm going to cook out that whiskey and simmer it down a little bit. So I'm going to turn it down to low, turn on my timer, and I'll see you guys in a little bit making meatballs. Hi guys, I'm back. I'm going to make meatballs now. I'm going to get my hands messy. So before I do that, I'm going to flip the phone down so you guys can see what I'm doing. I got a bowl and all my ingredients down here. I'm going to show you the way I make homemade meatballs. I have one cookie sheet with some foil on it, and I sprayed my coconut oil on that. I've got my hamburger meat, 2 pounds, approximately 2 pounds. I grind my own meat up. I get to meat big roasts from the restaurant supply stores. It used to be called Cash and Carry, and they changed the name. I can't remember what it is now. But we get that, and I use my KitchenAid, and I grind it up and make my own hamburger meat. So I put 2 pounds in there. I've got 1 egg. I'm going to crack that into here. Give it a good smell, like I always do. And that goes in there. My little washcloth there to help dry my hands. I normally don't measure my seasonings. So where are they? I just usually just sprinkle them in and everything, but I'm gonna put a teaspoon of my dry mustard in there. I've got, some people use oatmeal. I sometimes use oatmeal. I have today my breadcrumbs, Italian. I don't have all of my stuff out this time. I'm going to do a half a cup of breadcrumbs. Sprinkle that around. And that might be too much. If you put too much in, you can always add a little bit of milk or something to kind of loosen it up a little bit. A little bit of liquid. I can add some barbecue sauce to it. Since my son doesn't like onion, I'm going to add the onion last to the mixture. I've got some Mrs. Dash. I'm going to sprinkle that in. See, I told you I don't measure, so I'm not very good at this. Some seasoning salt. That's probably like a half a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of Mrs. Dash. I've got some granulated onion. We're going to do, that's probably about a half a teaspoon. And some granulated garlic. I like garlic. A little bit of garlic there. Okay. Before I get my hands messy, I am going to go grab that onion out because I'm going to need it. My son said he's actually going to try meatballs this time. So we are going to mix this around. This is the messy part, I said. And the egg is right up front there, so I'm going to try to mix it in. Oh, I forgot the Worcestershire sauce. I'm going to need some Worcestershire sauce before I mix this up too much. You don't want to overmix this. I'm going to wash my hands, get the Worcestershire sauce out, sprinkle that in there. Shake it up really good because that stuff settles. You know, I just used it a second ago, but shake it up. And you're going to put in about a tablespoon, maybe a little bit more. Okay. One more time. Get your hands in there. Mix it up. It's actually kind of fun. When I was younger, things like this used to gross me out. And when I was pregnant, oh my gosh, things are different when you're pregnant. Could not stand raw meat when I was pregnant with my daughter, and with my son, I wanted to eat raw meat. So I'm going to make a couple of meatballs, and I don't know what size. What size would you say that is? Just set that on there. You can make these a little bit smaller and give them a good, I'm going to just make 2 of those for my son, and the rest we're going to put the onion in. So you make them a little bit smaller, and you can put them in your Instant Pot with some barbecue sauce. Make them up really fast. This is really fast too. I put them in the oven for about 30 minutes. These are kind of big, so I might go a little bit longer. You can tell when they get all crunchy on the outside, brown and crunchy. So, yeah, my son doesn't like, he likes tacos with hamburger in it. He will not eat hamburgers. He's kind of really picky. I didn't mix the onion up very good. That's okay. I didn't want to over mix the meat. I'm going to have a couple small ones here. Sometimes you could push a hole in them and put a little cheese in it. That is delicious. And I've also made meatloaf with oh, yum. I can't wait. I can't even think. These look delicious. So I'm gonna wash my hands. It's a meatloaf with mashed potatoes in it and cheese, and you roll it up, and it's just so good with your ketchup or barbecue sauce. I'm gonna come back, wash my hands. I'm gonna top this with some oil and some salt and pepper and put it in the preheated oven of 350 degrees. I'll be right back. So I have one of these little bug juice containers with some vegetable oil in it. You can use olive oil, avocado oil, whatever kind of oil you like. This is kind of what I have right now on hand. And what you do is you just a little bit on top. Yum, yum, yum. That helps give it that crunchy little yumminess. That one's got a lot of onion. I'm gonna like that. And I like lots of salt and pepper on these. I don't like a lot of salt, like I said, but I will salt my meat and give it that crunchy little ooey gooey crunchy goodness. This is pepper and salt. Because really the only salt I put on the inside of this was the seasoning salt. So, okay. Once my oven is preheated, this is going to go in for 30 minutes. And then I'm going to top a couple with ketchup because that's what my son will eat. And the rest is going to be my good barbecue sauce. I'm going to make some homemade rice. And we're going to have some peas with this tonight. So I'll show you what this looks like in 30 minutes. We'll check on it in a little bit. Okay, this is before I put on the barbecue sauce and ketchup. I gave them about 30 minutes.
I'm so sorry. Last time I put drink ice in it, you loved it, didn't you? Mm-hmm. Sorry. This time you got cubits.
our honor to have retired U.S. Army General John F. Kennedy here. He is chairman of
Now you know why I put foil down.
charity tonight, which does some amazing things. All our veterans, stand up. Stand up, veterans. Anybody that knows the veteran, stand up. Anybody that knows the veteran, stand up.
Okay, these are gonna go back in the oven for about 5 more minutes, maybe 10. Yum.
The Army and commanded all the U.S. and NATO forces in Afghanistan.
And you can also stay.
Yum.
Go ahead and show him your husband's plate. If you would like.
That is my homemade rice. I'll teach you how to make that next. There's my husband's plate. Oh. Yum.
Can't talk. Eating. It's all caramelized and candy.